Welcome to the Coaches Preview Show. I'm your host, Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. And today we have special guests talking about tonight's WCTV basketball game of the week. We have the coaches from Independence and Ravenwood High School talking about the 12-4A matchup. We're going to start with the girls' coaches. We have Tony Hill of Independence, Andrew James of Ravenwood High School. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Coach James, first time on the show this year. I want to start by saying congratulations on the season so far. I will admit that, a couple of weeks ago, Tate and I were doing our Sports Connection show, and I said, look, I've been sleeping on the Ravenwood Raptors girls team. They are really playing well, and it shows by your record. 6-0 in the league right now. And let me ask you this, just starting off. Is the undefeated start in the league maybe something that even surprises you if you were to look back at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that I felt like we had a good team, and I felt like, there was a lot of promise. We had a really tough out-of-district schedule. And I knew we have really good teams in this district, so I knew that was going to be a challenge. So in a way, a little bit, but, as the season's gone on and we progress, we have some really good players, and I've been really excited about their progress. And so a little bit, but I was also confident that we had a really good chance to be good this year.
Coach, you lose a couple of key players from last year's team. Lexi Erickson, I think the entire district celebrated when she graduated, and also Mary Prestigard. So those were a couple of players that were fairly tough to replace, but you've had some players step up.
Yeah, we have a pretty young group in the lineup for us. At one point, we had 2 sophomores and a freshman starting. And they've had to do a lot of growing up. Some of them we've asked to grow up pretty quick, a lot quicker than normal. And we lost a lot of seniors from last year. So yeah, I mean, they're talented. We've got some good talents. And obviously when you have a player like Reagan Grimes, that always makes things a lot easier for me. And then you have Elizabeth Flynn, who has a lot of varsity experience. And then, you talked about Mary Prestigard. Well, her sister's had a pretty good season as well, Natalie, as a sophomore. So we've had a lot of players step up and do big things for us.
Coach Hill, you drop one on Tuesday to Nolensville, but talk about the progression of your team and that nice win last week. Also the WCTV game of the week against Summit. Talk about that game.
Well, we really came together defensively in that game. We knew they were a good 3-point shooting team, and they'd made 8 of 24 threes in the first game we played, and we knew we couldn't let that happen again. So we really keyed on limiting their 3-point looks and make them put it on the floor, and we did a good job with that, and played them tough, and took 2 overtimes to get it done, but we ended up making some plays and getting the win. And it was a great win for our program. Our kids were very excited.
Well, we talked about the play of Leah Oob. She really stepped up in that game, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but she had some young people step up as well.
Yeah, as far as the young people in that particular game, Aaliyah Fleming did a great job. I believe she had 9 in that particular game. Savannah C, as I look back at that one, I believe Savannah ended up with 8, I believe, in that particular game. So we're getting some good contributions from our freshmen. And, I can't say enough about Leah Oob's play and even Ryan Brown here in the last couple of games. I think Leah's had 24 in the last 2 games, not in each game, but in both games collectively. And then Ryan has really picked up her competitive spirit and really been a leader for us on the floor. And it's been great to see her develop into that.
Let's talk a little more Ravenwood basketball. Coach James, you talk about that tough schedule, 16-7 overall. Again, if you had a little weaker schedule, certainly may have more wins, but you may have fewer district wins. So the out of district schedule has been a big deal for you. Right now, you're in the driver's seat for a district title and a number one seed in the tournament. When you talk about your team, Coach, and you mentioned her earlier, and really, I would say athletics at Ravenwood High School, boys or girls, doesn't matter. But even in WCS, the name Reagan Grimes continually comes up.
Oh yeah, she's a great athlete, 3-sport star. She's such a good kid too. She's been a great leader for us. One of the best things that she does for us is, Tuesday night at Columbia, we had a lead. They cut into it. There was a lot of momentum, and she's the one in the huddle saying, "Hey, we're good, everyone. Just calm down. Let's do this. Let's get a stop here," kind of stuff. Like, that's a really big calming presence for our young group. And you can see that sometimes they're kind of like, what are we going to do now? And Reagan's really been a calming presence there. And we've gotten really good, I feel like, when runs are made at us at kind of making that next play. So that's been, besides all the things she does for us on the court with her play, that mental approach has really helped us.
Well, and Coach, you talk about that calming effect on those younger players. Lots of times I feel that coming from a fellow teammate, it's almost more effective than coming from the coach.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, when you have a team that is player led, it does help out a lot. And this group has really come together. They like each other. They have a good time. There's been, there's no like drama or anything like that. It's all been really positive things that have happened. And we've had some adversity overcome, especially early on in the year. And I feel like that it really made us battle tested. And it's helped us in our district play for sure.
Coach Hill, your team coming into tonight's game, you're 8-13, 1-5 in league play, lost to Ravenwood in the previous meeting, 56-36 at Independence. But listen, Coach, your team proved against Summit that the previous matchup doesn't necessarily have anything to do with tonight's matchup.
Well, we have played the second time around the league. We've played people a little tougher. Nolensville beat us 12 or 13 over there. And then, we come back on Tuesday and actually led in the fourth and end up getting beat 6. But, the key we're going to be focusing on is a couple things. Transition defense has got to be big for us. They like to score in transition, and they're very good at it. They get it out and go. And we've got to do a better job from a rebounding standpoint. The numbers were 45-19 differential on the boards, and we've got to do a better job from that standpoint if we expect to stay in a game with one of the better teams in the state, and certainly one of the better teams in Middle Tennessee and Ravenwood. And Coach James does a great job with them, and I know they're going to be ready to go. And we hope to have a good, bring our intensity, bring our focus, and make it a good basketball game tonight.
Coach Hill, you talked about your young players, and particularly you talked about Aaliyah Fleming. Last week against Summit, you're behind the whole game. One of the things you had talked about is that you worried about your team not maybe great at spurts offensively. You struggled at times, but you get down 14 points in that game. You take the lead 40-39. And what ends up being the WCTV play of the week, you get a big defensive stop on the offensive end. It's a put back by Aaliyah Fleming, puts you up 42-39. And listen, that environment was rocking. It wasn't one of those deals that we had to wait for the boys' game. That game was rocking early on. So you had to be proud of your freshmen, in particular Aaliyah. And really, there's great growth there because it was a tournament-like atmosphere.
Oh, no question. It was a great atmosphere. When the game went into double overtime, especially, the place was full. We had a full house, and it was definitely a region tournament, district tournament atmosphere. And the kids really fed off that. They really did. The student section was great. The kids were excited, gave them a little more pep in their step, so to speak. And yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun to coach in that game, I'll be honest. And the young kids are really progressing well. We looked up in that particular game at one point early in the third and had 3 freshmen on the floor. And so we're excited about our young guys. But, some of our upperclassmen have stepped up as well. I mentioned Leah, I mentioned Ryan. Maddie Manus has done a heck of a job for us here lately. So, we're excited about our group and we're excited about our progress. And we just hope to continue doing that and be playing as well as we possibly can heading into district tournament.
As you take a look at the district standings, Independence 1-5, Nolensville 2-4, Columbia Central 2-3, Summit 3-2, Ravenwood atop the district 6-0. Coach James, win tonight. You wrap up the regular season district championship. You don't have to worry about tiebreakers or any of that. A 7th win, and you are the regular season district champions.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great, but I know we got a tough challenge ahead of us. Coach Hill's done a great job at Indy, and I know they're going to be prepared. One thing I was impressed with in their game against Summit is how well they guarded them. So we know that offensively, we're going to have to be crisp and we're going to have to execute our stuff. And they're a physical group too, and we're going to have to really take on that challenge. So it'll be an exciting matchup, and I know that we'll need to be prepared for it. And again, the win would be nice for the district championship, but we just want to play well. That's going to be our main goal for tonight.
Coach Hill, season ends today, which it doesn't. You end up playing Nolensville to advance to the region tournament. Talk about that. I know we've talked about it a little bit before, especially with your team to get that confidence. If you can win that first district game, if you end up in the 4-5 game, you advance to the region, that gets you a minimum of 3 more games. How big would that be for your team?
I feel like it'd be huge. It'd be several extra practices. And for our young team, it would be 3 games in a tournament atmosphere. And I think it would really catapult us into next season. So, that's really something we're targeting is to get into that tournament. Regardless of where we end up landing in the regular season, get in there, get that experience, let those kids see what it looks like. And we think it'd be great for our program.
All right, gentlemen, we're getting short on time talking about tonight's WCTV game of the week. Independence visits Ravenwood in a District 12 4A battle. Coach James, I know we've mentioned a few things, but if you had to pin it down to one offensive or defensive key tonight, what would it be for your team to sweep Independence during the regular season?
Well, one of our biggest things all year is rebounding. We have done pretty good job all year of rebounding, and I feel that when we take care of that we're pretty tough to beat. So we're all offensive and defensive rebounding. Sometimes we say our best offense is shoot it and go get it, and so that's going to be key for us on both ends.
Coach Hill, how about your team to pull the same thing you pulled with Summit? You lose the first time, but you get the win the second time.
Well, I mentioned the rebounding differential was 45-19. And in fact, one player had 19 rebounds against us. Flynn had 19 rebounds. So I would echo what Coach James says. I think whoever controls the boards is going to have a distinct advantage.
Gentlemen, appreciate you both for being here. Good luck in tonight's game and moving forward in the postseason.
Thank you, Darrin. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
We'll be back after this brief message to talk with the boys' coaches, Patrick Whitlock of Ravenwood High School, Mark Wilkins of Independence High School. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. We're now talking to the boys' basketball coaches at Independence High School, Mark Wilkins, Ravenwood High School, Coach Patrick Whitlock, talking about tonight's Independence at Ravenwood basketball game, District 12 4A. The first meeting, I had the pleasure of being at that game, January 18th, an overtime win, 72-70 for Independence, and really what to me was one of the best games of the year, not only in your district, in your region, but really throughout Middle Tennessee. It was just a great game with two really, really good teams. We'll start with Coach Whitlock. Coach, welcome back to the show, the Dean of Basketball Coaches in WCS, and you're alongside one of our WCS rookies, not rookies to the show, but Coach Wilkins in his first year. Coach Whitlock, been around a while.
Well, I have, done a good enough job just not to get fired for 16 years. So, I don't know what that says about me, but anyway, it's been a fun 16 years, and there's been a lot of changes over this time, and these new formation of the districts is obviously a little bit different challenge this year, but we still have our own storylines and drama to deal with as well.
Well, and Coach Whitlock always has the self-deprecating sense of humor, but the folks that don't know Coach Whitlock, great teacher, does a really good job in the classroom, great school guy. If you go to another event, you might see Coach Whitlock taking up ticket money. He might be the announcer on the Ravenwood football game. So, Coach, you've been around for a lot of different reasons. Certainly your basketball coaching ability is part of that. Coach Wilkins, listen, 1-0 in WCTV games, 1-0 in my TV 30 games. Hey, this WCS thing, you got it down pat so far.
Well, it helps to have great players, that's for sure. It's and I'd like to say that a lot of those games so far this year have not been, especially my TV moving back a couple weeks ago, have not been, some ones that you can leave early on at least, and so they've been a lot of tight games. Obviously our game with Ravenwood was another one of those that week as well. And so very fortunate. We know the ball could have bounced a different way in a lot of these games so far, but we're very fortunate to be where we are.
Coach Whitlock, your team suffered a couple of tough district losses. That Independence game the first time around, Columbia Central the first time around, but you reel off 4 straight wins. And you and I talk a lot. One thing I noticed, there was never a panic. It's like, okay, this is just part of it. We're building to the postseason. That's what we're focused on. And your team's really, really playing well right now.
Well, we're playing better. Those were 2 tough losses against Columbia the first time. We really kind of had a drought there in the third quarter. And the reality was when we played Indy, we played really well, particularly in the second half. It's just one of those games you walk away from and you feel good about how you played, but the other team played better. So, I do feel like we're starting to get there, focusing on what our identity is, focusing on the process, and then just letting the outcomes fall where they may, because the reality is it just takes one bad night in a region tournament to end your season. And, I really like our side of the district. It's very contrast of styles from the other side. It's up tempo. It's much different, where the other side of the region is kind of grinded out with a little bit different personnel across the board for all those teams. So, it's going to be a contrast of styles when we get into that tournament play, and you just have to hope that you're playing your best basketball in mid to late February.
Now, Coach Whitlock, we don't want to necessarily give the other coaches any bulletin board material, but you're always great with the honesty. In my opinion, this is my opinion, you can agree or not agree, I think the 3 best teams in the region are in your district.
We hear that a lot. Especially from the Centennial, Franklin, and Brentwood coaches as well, because I think they want to put all this pressure on us. You can definitely make that argument, but at the end of the day, this school district in this region is blessed with really good coaches, and in one game, situations, it's going to be tough. I do have a lot of respect for the talent that Columbia Central has, and obviously Indy. And they've shown that on paper. I mean, you combine their records together and it's like 39-8 or something ridiculous like that. So between those two, we got as many losses as those 2 teams combined. So, it's going to be tough any way you look at it.
Coach Wilkins, your team had the big win over Summit in last week's WCTV game of the week. Your first experience in the border battle as head coach, 17-4. Third quarter run. You and I talked after the game, and I don't even think you realized it at the time. It was 40-33, about 5 minutes left in the third. Jet Montgomery goes out with his 4th foul. You'd kind of gotten on to Jet. I was sitting there around the bench. You got to step it up defensively. When he goes out, and look, you don't want him going out. 17-4 run. You take total command of that game. And it had to be a good sign for a lot of different reasons. that you played so well without Jet during that spurt?
Yeah, I think it's a compliment to Jet that when he gets in foul trouble, the opposing student section cheers, because they know it's their chance, to really to put it against us, And so I was proud of our guys to step up. He does a lot for us that goes unnoticed. Obviously, he's a prolific scorer, but he draws a lot of attention and lets other guys get open shots. And so, it kind of just fell our way a little bit when you scheme so much, obviously, for a guy to take them out, as we do too, and other teams' best players. When that guy's off the floor, it does kind of put you in a little bit of a different situation, defense assignments and rotations and help. And so I think we benefited from that, and got a couple turnovers there. And so, Jed was excited. He just wants to win, wants us to do well. And so, we had a time. I think somebody may call a timeout, and he was on the floor cheering, giving high fives, and that's something we didn't coach or tell him to do. He just did it because we've never been in that spot. Where we go on a run with him on the bench. And so we're excited for the guys that stepped up there, and we're going to need it. I mean, Coach Whitlock talked about it. This district and region is tough, and so not one guy is taking a state tournament. It's got to definitely be a collective group. And so we were excited to see our guys do that night.
And Coach Wilkins, again, you and I talked quite a bit as well, certainly throughout the course of the season. This WCS thing, some people, and sometimes with coaches, I'm like, hey, I apologize. We kind of do a lot of extra things. We're doing shows like we're doing now. We're doing media days and all those types of things. Kind of like Coach Whitlock, he's the same way about this. You sort of embrace that part of it too, right?
Oh, I think it's what makes it fun. I think that if you just want to do it on Tuesdays and Fridays, then you're in the wrong business. I mean, this is in my opinion, I think it's a fun thing to do 24/7, and just have our, promote our kids and our program, and do it the right way. I mean, who wouldn't want to be at a school, at a place that celebrates as hard as these guys work, and lets, a lot of eyeballs be on them and draw the attention to it. I mean, it's what drew me here, and thankfully enough, it worked out to where I can come this year. And so this position feel so blessed, but it's definitely a blessing, and we love it. We love it here at Indy. We love when our kids get noticed, and we're excited about this week again. We know it's going to be a great production.
Coach Whitlock, you come in 17-7, 4-2 in league play, riding that 4-game winning streak. And probably one of the reasons you were such a cool customer after those 2 straight losses, that senior class, you keep hearing those same names. It starts with Jake Mulder, obviously, Williams, Millette. You just go right down the line. Your seniors have really stepped up for you this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the difference between this. We had a good team last year. We had great leadership with Nick Dang and some other guys, and we lost a lot off that team. You look at that team from last year. We actually lost 8 of our top 11 guys, but the guys we brought back are good, and they're seniors, and they've been battle tested. And several of those kids played at Sunset Middle School, and won that league when they were there. So they're used to winning, and they've had a lot of success. And we're just trying to continue to build that mental toughness and just move on from there. If you get all caught up in trying to win the regular season, the district, and things like that, and don't focus on what's ahead of you the next day, you're really doing yourself a disservice. So, that gets lost on a lot of people sometimes, but it hasn't gotten lost on this group. And I'll be honest, I didn't realize that we'd won 4 in a row. Because it seems like just yesterday we had a week where we lost to Columbia and Indy in a 5-day period. So, we're going to have to play well tonight and moving forward against everybody we play to continue to build on this. But having seniors is very helpful.
Coach, the reason you don't know about the 4 in a row is because you've been well versed on the book Atomic Habits and how you're just focusing on that process instead of that end goal, right?
Absolutely. Pull that checklist out every morning and try and check off those things. So, it's a good book. I think you should give us a little commission for mentioning that on the air.
Hey, Coach, also real quickly talking about your personnel. And it's so funny when you talked about this at Media Day, you said the transfer portal has been kind to Ravenwood High School. You've got DJ Starr, who's really played well for you. And then another name that when it gets mentioned, it makes the WCS coaches cringe. Gaynor, this time Evan, the sophomore. Those guys have played really well for you too.
Yeah, Evan is kind of part of that super sophomore group within our district. They all play for that the Stars team along with Jet and some other kids. And Evan's role is a little bit different with our group. We ask him to do some other things. I think, as we move forward in his career, he'll be asked to score more. So he just kind of fits in with, a little bit of toughness and does some things here, and maybe isn't putting up huge numbers that jump off the charts, but he's helping us win games. And then DJ, I think, deserves a lot of credit because he came from a program in Normal, Illinois, where he was taking 20 shots a game, averaging 25 points, was the guy. And now he's having to kind of conform to what we want to do, because the reality is when DJ goes out and scores 25, or when Jake goes out and scores 25, I think we're like 0-4. So we're much better as a team by committee when you throw him and Andrew Lamuno and Matthew Williams, who, since he's come back from his ankle injury, I think is shooting like 58% from three, which is insane. He took some bad ones on Tuesday, which brought it down a little bit, but we've addressed that. So anyway, it's definitely going to be by a committee group, and there's some other guys in that rotation that can step up. And, Lee Millette, another kid, maybe you place him on some other teams, like he's more of a scoring option. And we basically, just allow him to do the dirty work, and he throws up some acrobatic layups and makes them from time to time. So, that's the kind of team I like, and that's the way we want to play. And those kids have given up, maybe more notoriety for winning. And as long as that continues, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Coach Wilkins, you come in at 20-5, 5-1 in league play. Coach, we talk about this a lot in basketball. It's a tournament sport. It's what people remember. But I've always thought that 20 win mark, if you can get to 20, even if you come up short of your goals in the postseason, which you don't want to, 20 wins is pretty special.
Yeah, it is. I guess it's, kind of like in football. If you win 6, you feel like you've done your bowl eligibility, and, but I think all those coaches would tell you they still want to win that bowl game. And that's kind of where we are too. Yet we're very excited. 20 wins is special. But, now that we're here, it's proud but never satisfied. The process that, Coach Whitlock was talking about. I think that's what we all remember, because at the end of the day, you remember your postseason runs more than even your regular season. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd be stupid to say, yeah, I'd rather be 10-10. There's no doubt we'd rather be, or 10-15. We love where we are, and we're excited. We've had some great wins, some great atmospheres. It's been awesome all year. But man, we're hopeful that just all of those 25 games are just battle testing us for a grinded out, tough postseason. We know that's ahead of us.
Coach Wilkins, in your game with Summit, another thing that really stood out to me when I went back and looked at the stats, and you guys are both stat guys, you've got so much in common about how you approach things. You had 5 players in double figures. I've always said in high school, if you can have 3 guys average double figures, you probably have a pretty good team. Mm-hmm. When you have 5 guys scoring double figures in a game, that's pretty darn special, Coach.
No, it is, and I don't think it necessarily grabs the headlines as much as a 30 or 40 point game. We all love that. But as a coach, it's a dream, and I think we have that type of team. I think we have a team that can really spread the ball around and have multiple guys score. And that's a dream come true. And we know that Jet's going to obviously draw a lot of attention, and he should. But we're trying to find that balance as well, because we believe we have a team that can score multiple different ways, inside out. And that's honestly, I think, a little bit been my learning curve this year as a first-year coach, trying to figure that out. This team, I think hopefully next year, which we're not thinking about today, obviously, have a better feel for what our team can and can't do, and what we can do in the league and things like that. But it was a blind leading the blind there early for a while, and I think we're finally starting to settle into a good balanced attack.
District play. Let's talk about this. So if you look at the standings, Nolensville 0-6, Summit 1-4. They're going to finish in the 4-5 game. Then at the top, we've got a log jam. Ravenwood 4-2, Columbia Central 4-1. Get their first loss against Ravenwood on Tuesday night, a 10-point win for the Raptors. Independence comes in at 5-1. Coach Whitlock, we'll start with you. Couple games left, and 3 teams, in theory, right, mathematically, can still win the league with the possibility of a 3-way tie.
Well, it's certainly possible. I mean, we're going to have to be fortunate enough to win tonight to make that happen. The reality is there's not a whole lot of difference between the 2 and the 3, because there's going to be 2 really, really good teams on our side playing each other. And you can't discount Summit and Nolensville for that matter either. I mean, we, for whatever reason, we've really struggled at times against Nolensville, and Summit has shown the ability to beat really good teams, as they showed when they beat Lebanon earlier this year, and they had Columbia Central on the ropes. And I mean, there's still a lot that has, to play out. If Summit and Indy have to play again, it's a rivalry game. It doesn't matter that, Indy won by 30 last time, just like, how us and Brentwood used to be. So, when you get down to that tournament, I mean, anything can happen. And, it's just a different feel this year because, I used to talk to Coach Wild about this. It's like, you got to win that semifinal game in the district tournament. Well, it would be really nice to play for a district tournament championship. I don't know really how much that means because the region tournament is going to be more like the district tournament was a year ago. And we've always talked about the two games where you just feel the most pressure is the first round of the district tournament, which is kind of alleviated now, at least for most of us. And then the region semifinals. Well, now it's more the first round of the region. You can have a great season, you go in and lose that game, and it's just an immense amount of pressure. So it's going to be a different feel when you get to that, and it'll just be interesting to see how it shakes out. I mean, it all depends on how we play tonight. If we come out and play well and are fortunate enough to win, and I anticipate there could be a three-way tie. If we don't, then we'll finish third, and it is what it is.
Coach Wilkins, your team win tonight, and that Columbia game basically is going to be for the district title.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm not the sharpest when it comes to math, but I think that's how it all will play out. And, I think Coach Whitlock shared it, really well there about, how it all plays out. And, we were talking about that as a team, and that, I do believe in the postseason matchups matter, who you're seeing and what round and what game. However, there's about 1,000 different possibilities right now, probably. So it's definitely nothing we could concern ourselves with too much other than just the task ahead. Even on Tuesday, Nolensville is the team right now in front of us that's keeping us from our hopes and dreams. And now it's, Ravenwood and moving forward. We have a non-district game in Franklin and then in Columbia again. And so, just having that approach, I think, kind of puts things in perspective. It's easy to look around the corner and get hopeful and excited. But at the end of the day, we know that the one right in front of you is the most important one. And so it's not going to be easy, but we know it's something that we can still within our grasp for sure.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you both being here. Coach Wilkins, listen, I have to make sure I do this too. I talked about the reading habits of Coach Whitlock and his lifestyle. He's an Iron Tribe guy too. I guarantee, and listen, this is, I'm sorry, Creed and the crew for doing this. I know we're not supposed to be promoting products here, but Coach Wilkins, he's got some type of beach body workout going right now. I guarantee. Is it lift 4? Is it yoga? What do you got, Coach Wilkins?
It's lift 4, trying to get back into shape for the new year here, So 1 month in, busiest time of the year. Let's try. Let's see if we can do it. It's been hit or miss for sure with these late nights. I'm not going to sleep necessarily at 9 o'clock to get up. So, but I'm just trying to maintain until season does end.
Well, coaches, it was a pleasure to talk to you today. We're fired up about the game tonight. We know it's going to be another classic. Again, the WCTV Game of the Week, Independence at Ravenwood. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.